Good morning. This year will be packed with news about politics, bankruptcy, and entrepreneurship. Be patient. We'll get to all of it in the weeks to come. But today, the tale of a Detroit businessman who got caught up in a not-so-pretty international business deal in the Middle East. What lessons did he learn that other entrepreneurs should heed if they want to do business overseas? And how did his ordeal motivate him to give back to one of Detroit's fastest-growing neighborhoods? We'll talk about that today. It's Sunday, January the 12th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is Spotlight. And welcome to Spotlight. My guest today, Nasser Beydoun. He is an author, he's a businessman, Detroit area person, and spent a little time overseas. We'll talk about that today on Spotlight. Nasser, welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you, Chuck. Good to be here. You
have written a book, The Glass Palace, Illusions of Freedom and Democracy in Qatar. You've gotten some interesting reviews about this as well. On this side, reviews have been basically pretty good, but you can't ever go back to the Gulf, at least not anytime soon, can you?
Not anytime soon, no. I mean, it's just unfortunate situation, but I think it opened my eyes to a lot of things that are going on overseas, and especially when it involves the condition of labor, foreign labor in these Gulf countries.
Yeah. A lot of people will just look at this, they'll read the book and they'll look at you afterwards and they'll say, Nasser Beydoun, how in the world did a smart businessman like you, someone who's been successful before they went over to the Gulf to do business, you've certainly been successful here in Southeast Michigan, how in the world did you get yourself into this, and why did you go there in the first place?
Well, I went there because I thought I could help. You know, I felt that Qatar was a country that was progressing, that had a lot of economic opportunity, and that as an Arab American, I thought that I could go back and help, you know, to help develop the Arab world and work to promote, you know, freedom and democracy in that region. And there was a lot of business opportunities happening. Qatar was booming at that time.
And this would have been roughly what time period?
April 2007.
Okay.
Yeah.
You primarily were trying to develop restaurants?
Yeah, we had an investment company that was building restaurants. I opened 42 restaurants in 2 years, including Rainforest Cafe in Dubai and Rainforest Cafe in Egypt.
All right. Things were going well for a while?
Things were going well for a while. Unfortunately, the economic crash of 2009, 2008, 2009 affected the whole world, but you know, in the Middle East, they felt they were invincible, but they were affected. The banks were affected. Money became scarce. We could no longer finance the growth that we had projected, and caused the company to lose money.
They felt they were invincible because of all the money that they make from oil?
From oil. Yeah, Qatar is a little country. Its native population is about 250,000, but their surplus from natural gas is $100 million a day.
That's no small change.
That's not for 250,000 people.
All right, so when the economy hit, what happened to the restaurants?
Well, the restaurants, they were still, you know, restaurant business is a very labor-intensive business, and especially in the Middle East, because you have to import all your labor, you have to import all your food goods, you have to import all your equipment, so it's expensive startup. And when the financing dried up, we were no longer able to complete the projects that we needed to. And when I went to the board to request additional capital, they said, no, you mismanaged, you did this, you did, you know, started hurling accusations to
did you mismanage? Obvious question.
No, I think I was aggressive in the growth, but that's what basically they were asking for, because they have a mentality where, you know, if a company, you know, they need to show profit. They can't show a loss. And I went with the attitude, well, you show what's on your books. You don't cook the books to reflect the profit.
All right, when things went sour in terms of the finances, what happened to you in your life?
Well, basically, I had not been paid my money for about 5 months, my salary, and they refused to give me an exit permit to leave the country. They refused to allow me to quit, and they said if I didn't show up to work, they'd arrest me. So basically, I was in a situation for about 3-4 months where I was working for nothing, and couldn't leave, couldn't do anything.
Almost like an indentured servant in some
Well,
respects.
you are basically, the way the labor laws are written in that part of the world is that you go there, you're a slave. You're a slave to that sponsor, that local sponsor. He owns you. He owns you if you want to open a bank account, if you want to get a driver's license. If you want to leave the country, he has to give you an exit permit. So,
how long did this go on before you got out?
it took from the time that I filed my lawsuit till the time I left was 23 months.
How did you make it financially during that time? If they weren't paying you, you were obviously getting money, what, from friends and family back here in the United States?
My, investments and savings and things of that nature. I was lucky enough where I didn't have to ask anybody for money or, ask anybody for financial help. Got a lot of moral help, but didn't need the financial help.
They didn't attempt to freeze any of the money that you had already had on your own?
No, and I didn't leave any money in the country. Everything was back here. So, my wife would wire me money if I needed it, things of that nature.
Did you ever get arrested? Did you ever think that you were going to get thrown into jail or whatever
There was
it is over there that they do to people that they don't like?
There was a couple of times where, I would be called into the police station for questioning. And then, the thing that saved me was there you're guilty till you prove yourself innocent. But I was lucky enough to have collected all my documents that proved my innocence. So when they would hurl an accusation at me, I would be able to present the evidence that stated, no, that's not true. This is what really happened. And that's what saved me.
You got a lot of support from high-ranking people here in the United States, Senator Carl Levin's office, Senator Debbie Stabenow, other well-respected businessmen and women and political people as well, right?
Yeah. Well, what had happened was, after a year of battling in civil court between me and this minister, basically I had won.
This is a minister in Qatar?
It's the current foreign minister.
Okay.
I had won my court case. I had received a judgment. I had collected my judgment, and I was able to lift the travel ban on myself. 3 hours after I lift that travel ban, the prosecutor's office puts a travel ban on me. So I go see the prosecutor. I say, why did you place a travel ban on me? He says, well, we opened a criminal investigation. I said, you opened a criminal investigation in something I just won in civil court? He goes, yeah, we could do anything we want. So at that point, I reached out to my friends and the media and Leland Bassett and the Michigan congressional delegation and asked them for support, because my issue no longer was a legal issue. It became a political issue when they started playing politics with the legal process.
Did you feel like a political prisoner?
I felt like an economic hostage.
Did you ever think there was a time that you would never get out of there and get back to, because your family was back here in the United States, correct?
Correct. There was a lot of times where you never knew when this was going to end, because there was no defined, roadmap on leaving. It was dependent on the people you were dealing with and those held the position.
All right, let me play devil's advocate for a second. From their vantage point, would they say, if they were sitting here at the table, no, Nasser Beydoun, you've got it all wrong. You were trying to apply American values and business practices in our country, and it doesn't work like that. You're in our country, you play by our set of rules versus the set of rules that you might play by in the United States.
Well, I think, that they do have their own set of rules, but their rules are archaic. They have to, if they want to be a world, a modern society, they have to adapt their labor laws to equate to a modern society. They can't hold people hostage in their country. They can't claim to be the richest country in the world by per capita income, yet 80% or 70% of the population is making $300 a month or less. So, they want to be a world-class country. They want to host international events. They have to play by international rules.
Why did you write the book?
Well, I was the last person in the world that I ever thought this would happen to. And if it could happen to me, and it's happening to a lot of people currently, there's stories coming out daily of people in the same situation that I was in. I thought I just wanted to tell the story, and I want these people to change. I want to be a catalyst for change in that region, because we as a Americans and our foreign policy, it seems that the democracy ends, you know, the push for democracy ends where the oil begins in that region.
But can you change a country and their policies to fit what you might have experienced here in the United States if they don't want to become like the United States?
Well, nobody's asking them to become like the United States. They have their own customs, they have their own culture. But what I'm saying is you can't invite people to come to work in Qatar and hold them hostage and treat them as slaves. You can't have people, you know, if you want people to come to work in your country, then you should respect them. And you can't offer to host the FIFA 2022 World Cup and build your stadiums using slave labor. It doesn't work like that.
Bottom line, what do you think is going to happen long term?
Well, long term, not much is going to happen because the society, the Qatari society, is taken care of. There is no, there is no need for them to change. They are taken care of from cradle to grave by the oil revenue that's generated and by the wealth that's generated for the local population.
When Spotlight returns, Nasser Beydoun talks about how Americans have reacted to his trials, tribulations, and new bill.